Hello everyone. I'm really excited to be sharing the highlights from my PDF for this shape module. In this presentation, I'll walk you through my creative journey, exploring themes of visual identity, audience engagement and experimentation. This project really challenged me to think differently about age, inclusivity and what it means to design with empathy. Shape as a module is all about challenging assumptions and shifting perspectives. For me, that meant stepping away from surface level design decisions and asking, who is this for? What do they value? And most importantly, how can I reflect that back through the design? One of the very first decisions I made was to confront how older generations are typically represented in visual culture. All too often, branding feels flat, beige, and frankly patronising. There's a stereotype that people over 65 only respond to muted or purely functional design, but this is not what I found out at all. In my research, I encountered vibrant, tech-savvy individuals who actively seek creative experiences. Many were interested in workshops, learning digital tools, and engaging in community-led projects. This made me realise it's not just about including this demographic, it's about celebrating them. I set out to design something bold, joyful and intergenerational and authentic, something that speaks to everyone without diluting its message. My goal at this stage wasn't perfection, it was exploration. I created a mind map and explored word associations. This part of the process helped me stay non-judgmental and open, allowing ideas to flow without the usual critical filters. I think sometimes when designing a product, we rush too quickly into aesthetics, but by giving myself space to understand the audience, I uncovered deeper, reoccurring themes like skill sharing, community, and inclusivity. These would later be the backbone of my visual language. I organised informal feedback sessions with people aged between 65 and 75. I shared early concepts and asked open-ended questions and just listened. They had strong opinions and rightly so. Many expressed frustration at being talked down to or represented as passive. But what really stood out was their enthusiasm for skill sharing. They loved the idea of a space where older and younger generations could learn from one another. This was a breakthrough moment. It confirmed that I needed to design not just for this group, but with them. Wireframing was a really important part of the process. Early on, I wanted to mock up some initial concept designs, as well as some more detailed visuals created in Illustrator. This helped me get ideas down on paper and develop them further. One of the most rewarding parts of the project was involving the audience from the start. Having plenty of material to share with them early on was a vital part of the process and helped me shape the direction of my work. From feedback, I developed a new set of buttons that communicated more effectively with my target audience, along with some key improvements to the overall readability. One thing the audience particularly responded to was the centre image layout, where the image boxes were wider and fewer items appeared on the screen at once. This made the layout feel far more clearer and also gave the opportunity to increase the text size, something that directly addressed an issue with my initial design. Once I had a clear direction, I moved on to mock-ups, and they were really essential. They proved key in the later part of this module. Placing my designs in real-world environments helped me see what worked at scale and what didn't, and it also allowed me to visualise the user experience more holistically, imagining how people might interact with the identity across different touchpoints. To conclude this half of the module, it really gave me the chance to reflect on what I've learned and what I want to take forward into the industry brief. I'm genuinely pleased with what I created, and I think the concept of a multi-generational event tailored to both older and younger audiences is something that could be developed further. This design journey allowed me to empathise with my audience and truly understand what they wanted from the service. I learned the value of wireframing, prototyping, and always designing with the user at the forefront, backed by research and understanding. Overall, this half of the module set me up perfectly for what was to come. By week 6, we were able to choose a formal brief that would carry us through to the end of the module. I chose the graphic design brief, which I was really drawn to. It was to create a visual language for the Falmouth Summer Degree Show, a stark difference from the first part of the module, but I was really excited to explore this brief. The challenge was to design something bold, exciting, and emotionally engaging without narrowing the audience. People enter university at all stages of life, so I needed something that felt fresh and youthful, but also didn't alienate older demographics. That tension between youthful energy and universal appeal really guided my process. A set of deliverables were the final outcomes for this brief, but my goal was to create a whole visual language, a design system that would move seamlessly across all outcomes. I also considered how the identity would reflect Falmouth's unique character, its creativity and its rebelliousness, and the sense of community. A big inspiration throughout this project was Paula Scher. Her fearlessness to use type, layering and bold graphics really resonated with me. She has the ability to create identities that are visually striking yet deeply rooted in the client's personality. I studied her work for the new school, especially the custom typography, which featured letters that had been stretched to echo the school's identity and the desire from the client to be different. Wanting to reconnect with physical process, I turned to woodblock printing. This added analogue quality which felt human, imperfect and unexpected. It created textures and differences that gave the visuals more depth and personality, and I felt that it resonated more with traditional art school practice. It also helped me break out of the digital space and reintroduce chance into the creative process. The unique nature that emerged from this method reflected the diversity and vibrancy I was aiming to communicate. A key piece of research for this project was looking into augmented reality. This technology allows users to scan a QR code and then interact with an image in the real world using their phone. It was a completely new process for me, but I wanted to mock up how it would work for my chosen audience. Because this is a younger audience, most are already familiar with app-based technology. My goal was to create a more interactive experience with the identity, something where viewers could see the poster in any setting and even share it with friends, helping spread awareness of the degree show. I see this idea as having great potential for the future, with the ability to add multiple layers to the visual identity and explore new ways for people to engage with it. One of the key visual inspirations came from the vibrant street flags of Falmouth. These bright, fluttering flags felt like the perfect metaphor for creativity and individuality. I drew directly with their palettes and geometric shapes to create a visual style that feels more energetic and celebratory. The colours weren't just selected for visual impact, they were tested with the target audience. Feedback was consistently positive, with many describing the look as edgy and bold, exactly the reaction I wanted to evoke. From there, I moved into multiple rounds of iteration. I explored layout systems, type choices, and visual rhythm, always checking back against my audience feedback. This kept the work grounded. It wasn't just about what appealed to me, it was about what truly resonated with them. Over time, this process shaped the identity into something bold yet balanced, creative but still clear. Alongside feedback sessions, I ran structured surveys to dig deeper into audience reactions. One standout concept featured a yellow background with blue text, a combination people strongly associated with coastal energy. During discussions, the phrase "making waves" kept surfacing. It captured ideas of creativity, disruption and momentum. That phrase stayed with me. It felt like the perfect metaphor for a degree show, a moment when students are about to step out and literally make waves in the world. I carried it forward as the central thread in the campaign language. After finding wireframing so valuable in the first part of the module, I wanted to carry it forward into the initial stages of this project. Sharing early prototypes with the audience gave me fresh insight into how people are expected to interact with this campaign. One standout idea was a digital invite that could be saved directly to Apple or Google wallets. Many participants were already using this feature for travel and events, so integrating it felt natural, making the experience seamless and intuitive. This campaign was all about creating a cohesive visual language, something that felt bold, edgy, intentional and consistent across every touch point. It began with the printed invite. I wanted them to feel more than just a purely functional object, something you'd actually enjoy receiving. The design featured key elements from the campaign poster, but in a way that didn't mean purely copying the design. My audience really liked the idea of an envelope, saying it felt special and more personal. Building on that, the digital invite had to be just as considered. I created a wallet-friendly ticket that carried the same visual language. Clean layout, bold colours, simple shapes. The QR code was framed inside a triangle, a shape repeated across the campaign, tying it all together. It was designed for convenience, but also to reflect the same attention to detail as other printed mediums. The balance between creativity and clarity carried seamlessly into the social media strategy. I tested both static and motion assets, with the static posts helping to establish visual consistency. However, it was the reels and short animations that truly drove engagement. One participant noted that Instagram focuses on reels, a simple insight that influenced how I shaped future posts. To reach beyond Falmouth, I designed poster mock-ups for public spaces, bus stops and train stations. The goal was to expand the show's visibility and invite new audiences, while still proudly showcasing Falmouth's creative voice. All of this was supported by the website, which prioritised accessibility, high contrast, scalable type and intuitive navigation. It linked out to courses, projects and visitor information, giving guests a full picture before they even arrive. And once they did arrive, I wanted the audience to feel immersed, so I developed environmental graphics, signage, packaging and wall visuals to bring the identity into the physical space. It turned the campaign into something people could move through and not purely look at. Wanting to add a little bit more fun to the visual identity, I included freebies with the same consistent branding as other deliverables: pens, keyrings, bracelets and USB sticks. As Paula Scher says, never underestimate the power of crapola. These little items act as souvenirs, but they're more than that. They carry the identity into people's daily lives, a reminder of the campaign long after the event is over. To close, this project has changed the way I think about design. It's taught me the value of listening, the power of iteration, and the importance of designing for real people with complex needs and preferences. This term I've worked on 2 very different briefs, but both were rooted in user research and creative risk-taking. Finding that balance between structure and freedom has really deepened my passion for creating bold, inclusive and meaningful visual languages. It's also made one thing crystal clear. I want to pursue a career in graphic design. I loved creating these visual identities and get great pleasure designing with the audience in mind. I feel this module hasn't just been a set of projects. It's been a real turning point in my creative practice. Thank you very much for listening.